Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I call this meeting to order at 1 p.m. It's great to see everybody. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Williams.
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Caballero. Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Present.
Councilmember Rist.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cook, you want to start us off? Any announcements or comments briefly?
Thank you all for being here. I don't have any announcements.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Your mic. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no announcements. I did have one item here. We know that ICE is operating in our community, and it's something that I think has disturbed all of us. I know that we would all prefer not to see any ICE operation here because I don't think that it makes our community safer. But at a bare minimum, we frequently lament the fact that we don't know what they're doing. At a bare minimum, we'd like to know that and have some transparency. So, colleagues, I'd be interested in bringing an item in the form of a resolution in our next work session, and I apologize that I haven't spoken with all of you earlier. I will work up a draft and get one to you as quickly as possible. But bringing a resolution to our next work session to make regular Freedom of Information Act requests to the Department of Homeland Security to get some of the information about any enforcement activities that are taking place in our city. Would you be amenable to that? Yeah, fair enough. All right.
All right, thank you for that. We can chat also. A copy of it. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. I just had one announcement I forgot on Monday night to say Happy Emancipation Day for all of those from Trinidad and Tobago. And other than that, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rist.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, staff, residents. Thank you for being here. A couple things. First of all, I just want to say big congratulations to the Latino Community Credit Union, which is today celebrating their 25th anniversary. As you know, I'm a big credit union fan. I'm on the board of Self-Help Credit Union, but I'm also an account holder at Latino Community Credit Union. They'll be celebrating, I'm going to see some of you later this afternoon, they're celebrating their anniversary today at 4. This is a huge success story in the credit union movement, but also for Durham. Latino was founded in Durham 25 years ago, starting from scratch, has now built itself to over $1 billion in assets, $1 billion in assets, serving over 210,000 members across 15 branches in the state. So it's a huge success story right here from Durham. I just want to say a big congrats to the staff there at Latino for the great work they've done, and including the current CEO and executive director, Vicky Garcia, who's a good friend and doing an amazing job. So shout out to Latino Community Credit Union. Also, I want to talk about housing. It's a big priority for our city. It's a hot topic. I know it was a hot topic yesterday in the Joint City County Planning Committee meeting. I saw that online, watched your comments online, quite interesting. I received a bunch of emails before, and quite interesting, I guess.
It's good for TV. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, did you watch? Yeah. Yeah.
I had to make a stop.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Thank you for the rich discussion. Yeah. So, leading up to the meeting on Monday and after Monday, I continued to get emails from residents about housing issues, and some still clamoring over past decisions about rezoning. So I just want to connect a couple dots about housing, because it's a big topic. It's also on our agenda today. We've got a number of items related to housing. So the first thing I want to say is that I've heard concerns about market rate construction and whether that supply really targets the real crisis, right? We've heard about the concerns about whether this accelerates displacement, another concern. And we've heard the concerns about the need for permanent affordable housing, also an important concern. So just a couple dots I want to connect. So the first thing is a bunch of us got up early on Tuesday morning after our late meeting, a bunch of staff and myself, and went to the Chamber of Commerce mid-year economic outlook meeting. And as the city manager and others know, there was a bunch of data shared, one of which was a slide from Matt Gladdick that showed vacancy rates in Durham, rental vacancy rates. And those rates have inched up, right? So now the vacancy rate is about 12%. And there's been some talk about vacancy, so much vacancy, that's like we got empty units. What does that mean? At the same time, and this is really important data, rents have actually declined. The rent increases declined over the last several years. And over the last year, absolute rents have gone down in the city of Durham. And that's a big boost to all the renters in the city, especially the 50% of renters who are housing cost burdened. So from my perspective, that speaks to the importance of important decisions this council and past councils have made, difficult decisions about expanding housing supply. It seems to be working and our residents are benefiting from that. The second thing is, there's this question again about like, does this cause gentrification, right? Was housing supply cause gentrification? I just want to quote from a report, the mayor and I have talked about this, a recent report, I think just came out yesterday from the Pew Charitable Trust about this question of what's the relationship between housing supply, gentrification, and quality of life in our communities. So the report finds, and I quote, the nationwide housing shortage has driven rents up more in low-income neighborhoods than the US overall. But in areas that have recently added large amounts of housing, rents have fallen the most in lower income neighborhoods with older buildings. And then continuing, the findings suggest that not allowing more homes to be built, even for high income residents, pushes up all rents, making it harder for low income tenants to remain in their neighborhoods. The last thing I want to note is I'm glad Mr. Snell's here. So I took the invitation from DHA to visit yesterday the latest property, and Leia's here too, the newest property called Vanguard, the Vanguard, right, which formerly was Elizabeth Street, right? So this is the first property, right, in our DHA downtown neighborhood partnership that's come online. It's about how many units? 60 units? 72 units, okay. So some of these units are for people returning to that community. Some are transfer of assistance from other public housing communities, and some are market rate housing, all below 80%, but some deeply affordable. So that means your housing bond money is at work creating permanently affordable housing in Durham. It's coming online now. There's gonna be a groundbreaking, I think, maybe in a couple months, but you may not be able to get to see these units. These units are amazing, high quality units. And since this is mixed income housing, there's amenities like in-unit hookups for a washer and dryer if you want. There's also washers and dryers on the floor if you don't want to do that. There's things like recreation rooms so people can exercise. All the amenities people want across a range of incomes. Again, high quality housing. This is the direction we're going in housing in this community with public housing. I know there's been a lot of conversation about DHA and some of the challenges that Mr. Snell and his staff are working on, but this is the future of public housing and public housing investment. Again, your bond funds at work. DHA is going to come back to us later this fall with a request for funds to start the redevelopment of both Fayette Place and Forest Hills Heights. So this is the future of housing. This is happening right now. And so I just want to say, stay tuned. Change can't come soon enough for people who are burdened by high housing costs. But this council, DHA, and your council members in the city are moving aggressively to address the housing challenge, and we're starting to see the results. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Go back and clip that video and just post it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, honorable colleagues, to everyone in chamber with us today, and to all of our residents and friends on whatever platform you may be watching. Good afternoon. I want to thank Councilmember Riss for shouting out Councilmember Baker and Caballero's and mine's new podcast, and the first edition of it.
Around.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to doing more. Just very, very quickly, friends, on Monday, at our Monday work session, I had made a statement about revisiting the violence interruption model in Durham. There was some subsequent media after that around that announcement, and the impression was given that we would be discussing it at our next joint city-county meeting in this month. We actually will be discussing that in October. So I wanted to just level set and manage expectations for our citizenry who may have been watching that meeting and may have been watching subsequent media reports. But I want to thank this council for being amenable to that revisitation. I want to also thank my colleagues at the county as well, and look forward to a substantive conversation for something that I think is sorely needed in our city. So thank you so much. Good to see you all. Yield.
Yeah, thank you. Just to tag on to that, it may have been a little confusing. Mayor Pro Tem and I responded to a media request on it. Colleagues, I will be proposing with actually quite a few community groups, a very holistic, not only just violence interruption, but youth engagement, just taking a very creative and innovative approach to reducing violence in general especially young violence, but hopefully specifically targeting gun violence as well. Reducing that, and it'll include the schools, it'll include the county, it'll include us. And I hope that it'll be something amenable, as we stated when we had our passionate exchange in here, our last work session. The words ring true still. Come up with a plan and we can look at it. So that's what I'm working on. And this is, I know the managers between the city and the county are working on some, they're just looking at some options as well. We're looking at how we can engage HEART and all of the resources that we currently have, but there's a lot of work that's happening on the ground. And I saw a lot of the Suitable City Future Fund organizations. So looking forward to just bringing that for us to entertain. I don't really have much. I can't remember the day before yesterday, so it's been a rough week. So I'm going to get on and Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to ask that you proceed with the consent agenda. I need to run back to my office briefly. Okay, Councilmember Cook.
Sorry. Yeah, I just want to ask for clarity because I appreciate your statements, but I feel like when we have come to the work session, if we have an agenda item that we want to talk about in depth, I think it would be good to put that on the agenda as a conversation because those were meant to be announcements. And I just want to be clear about what we are looking for in that time frame. And so whether or not there's like the ability to respond to some of the things that you said, which I do feel like are very policy heavy, right? And I haven't read that study, but I know that there's been other studies in the past that have said things that are similar, but when you break them down, they don't exactly align maybe with the city of Durham and our progress. So I think it would be helpful in the future just to have a heads up that conversation is going to happen and have space for.
You mean the housing?
Yeah, just to have space.
Okay.
And it's not an attack. I know that sometimes we like wax poetic in these announcement sections, and so I just think that it's a just as like moving forward, a good idea to know if we're going to have a conversation about that, maybe it gets put on as an agenda item so that folks can actually
I'm glad
respond.
you said that because we're working on adjusting this agenda so that we can have more deep dives. So it's coming because I know it's burning for us to be able to talk about it. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I want to associate myself with Councilmember Cook's comments. I don't know how many times I've sat on the dais at meetings and listened to colleagues go deep into policy and actually just come short of calling names, talk about actions of council members. So I want to associate myself, but I think every one of us up here, some more than others, have certainly used the time of announcements to wax on about feelings about things and actions this council has taken. So yeah, I want to associate myself with your comments.
All right, we're waxing a lot today. Let me wax over here to Councilmember Freeman. I'll come back to you to get yours.
I appreciate that, Councilmember Cook, as well. I did just want to make sure I didn't forget to mention the breakfast that I had a chance to attend, and I think the mayor and city manager were there along with county commissioners, and just point out the work of Lincoln Community Health Center, and then to just say that we have, along with that housing conversation, there needs to be some conversation about health and what that means to folks in their homes. And it's not limited to rental, it's also home ownership. There's so much to talk about in there. I won't go on a long waxing, but I will say that I would appreciate an agenda item. But it was definitely eye-opening to see the state Vice President of Housing Coalition shared a lot of information about how cuts are going to hit Lincoln, and we need to be prepared to figure out how to support, even though that's not our main area, because if folks are losing SNAP, they're losing access to care, and I'd also had a chance to visit with say it again, the Vanguard. And all the cuts that are hitting HUD, there's an onslaught of pressure that's going to be on us locally. And I don't know that we can just kind of dream about what do we want it to look like if we don't put some Band-Aids on what's happening right now. So I just want to put that on our radar and just point out that they're going to be asking for help. So that would be about it.
Thanks for mentioning that. Lincoln Health served 37,000 patients last year. It's kind of like the adult St. Jude, not necessarily just cancer, but just health services. It's a jewel to have in our community, and if a community like Durham is on the brink of, can potentially be on the brink of losing a health institution, what do you think is happening to rural parts of North Carolina, like Scotland Neck, where I'm from, where we closed our hospital a while ago, or Nash County, where also I'm from, and even where Zach Hawkins is from, Chocowinity and other places. All of those hospitals are closed. So we have a privilege here in an urban setting, and if we're on the brink of losing a hospital that is, I don't want to use language on the brink of losing, because that's not the case, but the
Health
federal
center,
government,
just make sure we.
health center. But the federal government can easily just stop funding like that. And I will say they're getting support from Duke, but it's like a lot of in-kind, not direct financial. So that although health services and social services are in the county's portfolio, at the end of the day, they are our residents, and we should continue to collaborate with our county colleagues.
I don't mind you riffing on my waxing, but I also just wanted to end with saying a big thank you to all of those in the medical profession who do spend their time volunteering with our local federally qualified health center. I want to say thank you again, thank you. And keep volunteering, keep pouring your hours in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. At this time, I'm going to yield to the manager for priority items.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Members of council, good to be with you again. The city manager's office has several priority items for today's work session. First, regarding agenda item number 22, the Walltown Small Area Plan and Place Type Map Amendment. A presentation will be made during the August 18th, 2025 council meeting as part of the public hearing. So look forward to that presentation a week from Monday. Then there are 4 supplemental items that have been added of a time-sensitive nature, so I just wanted you to know about these supplemental items. These are agenda item number 26, the grant agreement with the Durham Housing Authority for Forest Hills Heights relocation activities. Agenda item number 27, the loan commitment for 902 South Briggs Avenue redevelopment Mosaic Development Group. Agenda item number 28, amendment to city loan with KB Carver LLC for Sandy Ridge Station Project, increased loan amount and revised affordability terms. And agenda item number 29, resolution approval of a multifamily housing facility to be known as 902 South Briggs Avenue in the city of Durham, North Carolina, and the financing thereof with multifamily housing revenue bonds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $22,500,000. Those are the city manager's office priority items. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. You're not requesting action today on those.
I am not.
Thank you so much, sir. At this time, I'll yield to the city attorney for any priority items. Good afternoon, Counselor.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The city attorney's office does not have any priority items today.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, good to see you. Good afternoon. I'll yield to you for any priority items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I do have my board and committee commission report. The Recreation Advisory Commission for the mayoral appointment, Michael Johnston has been nominated. Under the Participatory Budgeting Steering Committee appointment for the category of at-large, Elizabeth Edmonston. For the Durham's Workers' Rights Commission appointment, category of diverse backgrounds, Sean M. Capel. And for the Durham Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointment, for the category of at-large, there were 2 nominees, Jeffrey M. Baklachuk and Kathleen Peralt. For the category of Transportation Planning Policy, Christopher N. Perlson, and Walking, Running, Pedestrian Community, Jordan Powell. And the last one for the Housing Appeals Board appointment, for the category of regular member, Richard R. Andrews. For the category of tenant, Jacob Severin. And for the alternate member under the same category of Housing Appeals Board is Rita R. McDaniel, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you for your report, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, at this time now I'll read the administrative consent items into the agenda. Administrative consent items, starting with the City Clerk's office. Item 1, Recreation Advisory Commission mayoral appointment. Item 2, Participatory Budgeting Steering Committee appointment. Item 3, Boards, Committees, Commissions, and Task Force fiscal year 2024 through 2025 annual attendance reports.
You pull that one?
Item 3?
Yeah.
Item 3 is pulled. Proceeding, item number 4, Durham Workers' Rights Commission appointment. Item number 5, Durham Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointments. Item number 6, Housing Appeals Board appointments. Moving to departmental items from the City Manager's office. Item number 7, 2026 City Council meeting schedule.
Can I pull that, please?
Of course you'll pull it. Item number 7 is pulled. Under Emergency Communications Department, item number 8, Central Square Technologies CAD to CAD Unified Cloud Subscription Service Contract. Under the Engagement Department, item number 9, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, interlocal agreement with Durham County to support digital equity efforts, MFI, distribution program contract with Cellco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless.
I'll pull that one.
Item number 9 is pulled. Proceeding under Environmental Street Services Department, item number 10, amendment number 1 to professional services contract SW50D North Duke Street Sidewalk Improvements, tip number EB-5715.
Yay, thumbs up for that.
Okay. Duly noted. Under the Finance Department, item number 11, installment purchase contract series 2025. Under Fleet Management Department, item number 12, cooperative group purchase contract hazmat truck. Under General Services Department, item number 13, second amendment to service agreement for project management consulting services with Turner and Townsend Heery, LLC.
I pull that one.
Pull that one, yeah, please.
Item number 13 is pulled. Proceeding, item number 14, parking facility structural maintenance, package number 1, project contract change order number 5 with Carolina Restoration and Waterproofing, Inc. Item number 15, First Amendment to the Solid Waste Management Yard Waste Repairs Engineering Services Agreement with Smith Gardner, Inc. Item number,
Paul, I want to just notice that this is important, upgrading facilities that could allow potentially food composting at our solid waste facilities. This is exciting stuff. Thank you.
thank you, Councilmember. Item number 16, Environmental and Street Services Administration Building Roof and Envelope Repairs Design Contract with R&D Architects, PA. Under Parks and Recreation Department, item number 17, resolution approving street closures for the 2025 movable city open streets and 2025 Durham Holiday Parade.
Again, great stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Agreed. Under Transportation Department, item number 8, FY26 Transit Grant Project Ordinances. Item number 19, FY 2026 Durham County Transit Work Program Funding Agreements. Under our Water Management Department, item number 20, purchase order with Swan Analytical USA, Inc. for turbidimeters and controllers at the Brown and Williams water treatment plants. Those are used for dilithium crystals.
I'm gonna pull that one.
Item
Pull
number
that one.
21,
I want to pull the turbidity.
item number 20
Yes.
is pulled. Proceeding. Item number 21, professional services contract with Highfield Infrastructure Engineering, PC, for the 15501 and Cornwallis Road Waterline and Angier Avenue Tank Drain Line Improvements Project. Public hearings to be taken up at our next full council meeting, City County Planning and Development Department. Item number 22, Walltown Small Area Plan and Place Type Map Amendment A250000001. That is a presentation that the manager flagged that will occur when he said it would. Item number 23, zoning map change, Fayetteville Flats. Item number 24, zoning map change, 4218 South Alston Avenue. Item number 25, zoning map change, 303 US 70 Warehouse. I have not been given any citizens matters that I know of. Supplemental items, Housing and Neighborhood Services Department, all flagged by our manager. Item number 26, grant agreement with the Durham Housing Authority for Forest Hill Heights relocation activities. Item number 27, loan commitment for 902 South Briggs Avenue redevelopment, Mosaic Development Group. Item number 28, amendment to city loan with KB Carver LLC for Sandy Ridge Station Project, increased loan amount and revised affordability terms. Item number 29, resolution approval of a multifamily housing facility to be known as 902 South Briggs Avenue in the city of Durham, North Carolina, and the financing thereof with multifamily housing revenue bonds in aggregate amount not to exceed $22,500,000. That ends the reading of our agenda. Mr. Manager, by my reckoning, we have items 3, 7, 9, 13, and 20 pulled. Do you concur? I concur. All right. Mr. Mayor, you want me to proceed with the...
I'm kind of locked out of my system for a little bit, so just continue.
Okay. See some ID, man. Item number 3, we'll take it from the top. Was pulled by Councilmember Riss. I'll yield to you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Good afternoon, council members. Lola Rowland with Deputy City Clerk, standing in for Ashley Adams. I can
Thank you,
answer
Ms.
any
Rowland. Yeah,
questions.
and thanks for the attendance report. I just had a question about this because I think it's really important data to have, but I'm not sure, some of it seems like not quite completely complete. So for example, like the Carolina Theater of Durham, which I sit on, only shows 3 members. Is that only because they're like city appointed, or like, so why only 3?
That's correct. We only keep track of city appointees.
Okay, got that, okay. But then other ones, there's like metrics that don't always make sense. Like in some cases, the denominator appears to include blacked out dates. So someone shows us 33%, but like there's a bunch of dates that are blacked out that maybe they weren't on that commission anymore. So it seems like the wrong
Percentage. So
Denominator, yeah.
it depends. So that denomination would come from the excused absences that they had that they were actually present for and what they missed from that non-blocked out part.
I'm not sure that, if I pull up some of them, I'm not sure it's true. There's also like one person had 111% attendance. So this seems like the math is not always correct.
Sure. So when we're gathering the reports, we make it very clear to staff liaisons, if that board has a staff liaison, that we aren't going to change the percentages. We give them a blank template. We give them a completed report that shows exactly how to do the calculations for the board. But when it comes to the assistant city clerk, since they're receiving almost 30 reports, we don't want to go in and change any of the percentages already received. Now, if Ashley or Javon, dependent on who's going to be receiving them, can look at it and make sure that the percentages are correct or sees any mistakes, she'll notify the staff liaison and then ask them to correct it and send it back. But we try to get these typically on the second to third council meeting of the new fiscal year, just to make sure that it's within the time frame of what we're asking them for.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, your challenge on your end because there's so many reports. I mean, here's one like on the Durham Housing Authority board. So Dan Hudgens, who left the board in October of 24, shows up a bunch of dates that are blacked off after he left the board, but it shows his attendance as 31%. So in some ways, the data then like is not always useful if it's not really accurate. So
Understood.
because we read through these. So I don't have time to crunch all the numbers, but it's sort
Sure.
of like I want to make sure we're getting as good data as possible.
Well, if you'd like, we're happy, you can refer the item back to our department. We can scrub through them one more time. I just don't encourage Javon or Ashley to make any changes to the reports. We want to make sure that we're encouraging the staff liaisons to get that as accurately as possible. So
Right, I guess if there's any way to sort of encourage the staff liaison to make sure what they're submitting is sort of like, does reflect the reality, that'd be helpful. I don't want to send this back. This is good data, but I just want to make sure that the staff liaisons are giving us the best they've got.
duly noted. So the next time the reports come around, which will probably be for the calendar year, we'll make sure that the reports received are as accurate as possible. And you will make sure that we scrub through them before we present them to you, if that means maybe going past an agenda deadline.
Yeah.
So, sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Colleagues, anyone else on this item? All right, we'll move to item number 7. Councilmember Caballero, we'll yield to you.
Thank you. I would like to flag a couple of, and it goes way into the future, but any interest in moving our December 18th, 2025 work session, which would be on a Thursday, to 2 days earlier, December 16th, going ahead and making a decision about whatever we're going to do about the summer. So it's not, because I think Councilmember Cook ended up having to get an excused absence because she'd already had work obligations that day. And then finally, I think in subsequent 2026, the work session is on December 23rd. That seems particularly cruel. Not everyone celebrates that holiday, but people's kids are out on winter breaks, and it's hard for families at that time of year. And so if we could also move that work session. I mean, I figured y'all would be, I was like, well, people will be happy I pulled this one. So I guess basically moving whatever to the Tuesday, we've done that before. So I guess the 16th, and then want to hear from council about next summer. And then I guess the 23rd would be the 21st.
Colleagues?
Sorry, December 23rd, 2026 would be December 21st. I don't think we can move it sooner because we have a council meeting that Monday.
And then Councilmember Caballero, you're suggesting that for the July 23rd work session that we just bump that into August as we've done this year?
If that's what we would like to do, that we just go ahead and make that decision now.
I agree. Yeah.
Colleagues, anyone?
So yes, what we did this year worked. When it was, I'll take a long day to have a long month, a lighter month. So yes, and also I was going to propose a special meeting in December as well. An organization meeting. Oh, we already did that?
If I'm not mistaken, we took that up with procedures about the first,
Yep, we did.
correct, and that got updated?
I'm not sure what the date is, but
That's what your procedures now provide, that first meeting in December is an organizational meeting where you'll just be constituted, sworn in.
yeah.
That's it, no business. We haven't had a lot of conversation. We have a new agenda manager, Mary Grace. So we haven't had that conversation yet about how we will manage the workflow, but that is what the council voted on.
No, that's great. I'm glad we did that. That is a very unfriendly shock, getting sworn in and then getting to business in the same night, so.
So just to be clear, what's the,
So I think
does
we
that
need to
not-
really work on the December meetings.
does that then not appear on the schedule at all? Because we just show a December 18th work session.
No, I'm sorry. I think what the mayor is referencing is whatever, I guess it's not on here because
not
the
on
first
here,
one's
yeah.
December 18th. So whatever that first Monday meeting is in December.
It's December
historically-
7th
Right.
is what I'm,
Is that on the previous calendar? Is that essentially where that is?
Yes. Because,
And it's just that, right, it's just that.
I'm sorry, yes, it would have been on the
Gotcha.
last calendar.
Then that makes sense.
yeah, so those are my suggestions. Thanks.
Thumbs up. Oh, yeah, Mr. Manager.
It does call into question then whether or not a work session on November 19th would be necessary if that is the work session designed to set the agenda for the December 7th meeting. If the December 7th meeting is only going to be organizational, then, but what I might suggest is you just allow us to process this conversation going forward. Go ahead and make whatever decisions you do here. And if we want to come back with alterations later, it is possible that the administration might want to suggest a special business meeting, given that, we stay busy all year. And so, but I think we hear you that the December 7th meeting, you'd like to be organizational only.
I'm just going to say this moving forward because I'm in full agreement. I will be teaching a class on Tuesday evenings that starts at 4. So just for when we're moving things to Tuesday, just know that I will have that time constraint on the end.
Noted. Colleagues, anyone else? Councilmember Caballero, thank you for your leadership on that.
Can I make one final comment?
Of course.
It's rare that we get to show the council, the staff who makes these meetings happens, but since this allowed us to bring Mary Brooks to the podium, I just wanted to acknowledge that Mary is the reason that these agendas go so smoothly and that the public gets good access. So as long as she was in the room, I wanted to publicly thank her for all her work. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for doing it. Absolutely. It's people who make the magic happen. You got it. Moving to item number 9, I'll yield to Councilmember Cook.
Yeah, your mic's not on.
Hello.
Perfect. So these are very, very quick questions, but whenever something with ARPA comes up this far in the time frame, I'm just always curious about how it works with our ARPA calendaring restrictions. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
As far as the funding for this?
Yes.
Yeah, so with this, we are still up
Patrice,
against.
please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, hello, my name is Patrice Carroll. I'm the Digital Inclusion Program Manager for, in the engagement department, in the new engagement department. Okay, sorry about that. But to answer your question, yes, the funding for this is still on track to be expended by December 31st, 2026.
Okay. And this, and so it was already obligated previously?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And so this that's in front of us today, I'm just wondering if you could give me, I've read the memo and I just feel like it feels a little unclear to me, this particular piece of it, the Cellco partnership. So, oh,
Okay. Okay.
yes, go whatever you need to say.
So yes, so it's the county funds that we're actually using for this.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's helpful. And then if you could just talk about this exact piece with the Selco partnership and why we're just seeing this separate and right now.
Okay, so with this, this is one of the initiatives for the MiFi distribution. And we actually had to go through the RFP, the regular process to select our vendor for it, which we did earlier this year. And so now that we actually have our vendor that's approved, now we're going through the process to actually get the contract and all signed. So that's why right now it's just coming through. We did receive the funds in, I think, November or December last year. So we just really began working on this project at the beginning of this year.
Awesome. And can you just talk a little bit about this project? Because I do think it's cool. And
Yes,
Thanks.
yes.
Okay.
So with this project, we are actually providing devices for the MiFis, and we will be given the devices where they will be able to keep those, and we'll be actually able to provide services for up to a limited amount of time. So with the funds running out, it will actually be through the November of next year. So with this, all qualifying residents will be able to receive a device and again, receive free internet service for a limited time.
Awesome. And since you are, I think, also the person that would know the answer to this, how will people find out about this project and how will they be able to opt in?
Oh, yes. So we are definitely in a campaign right now where we are getting this message out. We actually have people that are doing tabling events, and we're working with our community-based organizations. We also are putting it in through our water bill, and we are also using the transit as another way to be able to promote the program.
Thank you.
Yes.
Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mr. Mayor? Yeah.
Can I get a press release?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
If I can get a press release, and CBS 17, you're in the room, right? Okay. We're gonna make sure this gets covered. This is one thing that Durham does not do a good job at, is communicating our wins. This is great work, and we're gonna make sure the word gets out.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. Colleagues? Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. I have just one quick question. Are you all also collaborating, since we're going to have participatory budgeting this fall, potentially they're going to be tabling a ton, and so maximizing that effort out in community as well?
Yes, and again, with us being in the engagement department, we are actually working with them. Yes.
Councilmember Riss. I'm sorry, we done. Councilmember Riss.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Can you also say exactly like what the qualification is? I imagine some income, or how does one qualify?
So to qualify for the program, it's income-based, and if you're on government assisted program.
And what's the process like? Is that a sort of like cumbersome process, or pretty easy to get that, if you qualify, to get certified?
So they would we have the documents that they would need to send in to qualify them for the program. So there's a list of the type of documents to send in so that they can actually qualify, that our team actually vets.
So they send to your office? Yeah.
Exactly. So we have a survey that we actually send out that they would complete. And then once it comes in, and they can either attach their documents or bring them to the day of deployment, where we would then review them. And if they qualify, they will then be able to receive the devices.
And then would you need like tax returns or W-2s, or what is?
Sorry. We have a list in the tax returns. I don't think it's one of them. I don't remember exactly offhand, but I do have a list on our website of the different documents that can actually be brought in. But I have to confirm if
And
it's
you could bring it in the city hall, you could mail it in different ways.
So they will, right now, we having them to be able to attach it to the survey to send it in, which we are receiving in through Civic Plus, so they can send it in encrypted.
Okay.
And then if they are unable to, because they may not be able to attach it, they can bring it the day of deployment. And we will then be able to scan it in and put it, because we'll have to provide that information, of course, for federal funding.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to move now to item 13, and both council members, Rist and Cook, I think, pulled it simultaneously, so I'll yield to both of you.
All right. Yeah, I guess this one stood out to me because the numbers this increase is just very drastic, and I just wanted to hear some information on the amendment and why we saw it was like a 50% increase. And I didn't feel like the memo language was like a lot of project, and there was like not a lot. I mean, they broke it down for us later, but I just am curious like how we got to a point where we needed to amend for such a large difference in money.
Thank you. Gina Probst on behalf of General Services. So there is an attachment in the documents that helps to supplement the agenda memo, which identifies all of the projects for which program management, project management services are tied to. Overall, it's about a 3.7% charge to the project to provide project management services through the consulting group. The consulting group allows us to scale up quickly when we have new projects that are added, like we did this year for FY26, or when we have additional funds added to projects because of either cost escalation or changes to the project scope. So what you'll see is a flat fee against the project that helps to pay for or procure the services for project management. We currently have the team that we're using is Turner Townsend Heary. They are working on some of our larger projects because we want to get as quickly as we can our projects through design and construction to have them delivered. So the ability to work with the consultant team that can quickly bring on project management services that allows us to deliver is how this model has been set up so we can scale up and scale down over a 5-year period. So you'll see that some of the projects are new projects that came online for FY26. Those are the projects that are in the attachment in blue, and some of them are additional funds for existing projects that were underfunded. So this, the amount of project management services relates to the overall project budget. Also, when we developed our project budgets this year, we anticipated the need for these services, so they were part of the project budget.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I have 2 follow-up questions for now. The first is, the first is, so because we're like using this consultant and then we like are able to, and I understand the efficiency argument of being able to scale up and scale down very quickly, but how often do we do like an RFP? How often are we comparing that consultant with other folks who might be in the field?
And this consultant was selected off of a cooperative purchasing agreement, so that is a process that has already been vetted that's across the state. So we were able to avail ourselves of that procurement method, which also uses a process to determine who's in the marketplace that provides these services.
Okay, and so how long of a time frame do we end up usually working with these consultants, or when do we look to see if we need to make a shift?
This is something fairly new that we've been doing in the past since past 2 years. We did it a long time ago with the original bond program back in 2005. And so we're seeing how, I mean, we don't have a necessarily plan right now or a need to go do a new RFP because of the services that are being provided. And we are very pleased with the performance.
Okay.
If this becomes a model that we continue for years and years, we might want to consider those options, but we did use the procurement process allowed through the state.
Okay, and then I guess why that decision, and then how do you choose which projects we do the outside consulting for?
So that's good, good question, because with the ability of our consultant group to provide the different experience levels of project managers, we're able to scale or actually coordinate someone who may have had experience on an aquatics facility with an aquatics facility. So they have the ability to help us marry those skill sets with the type of projects that we have ongoing. So if we've got someone that has had experience with fire stations in another jurisdiction, then that person is able to carry and work on our fire station and EMS project. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility to have those skills ready and available. And also, some of these team members that are working on our projects have worked in other jurisdictions, whether in Virginia or other local municipalities or nearby. We have the ability to see what other communities are doing and how they deliver their projects as well.
Well, so, and so we kind of like have an idea of the projects that we want to put forth, or do we sort of give them a list and be like, do you have expertise in these areas?
Well, we kind of, work together. We also look at our existing staff to identify what our existing staff, their experience level or what is already on their plate, especially as we bring on new projects.
Okay, yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Councilmember Cook. I think if I can understand, or if I understand your comments, part of it is the question about like the increase at $2 million increase in the contract, big increase, right? From the base of 2 million. So I have like bigger picture questions, and thanks for coming. I know you're wearing a couple hats now, General Services and LTCM, so thanks for being here. So I guess I'm concerned about capacity of General Services long-term to manage projects. You referenced, I think, about 100 active projects, a lot of stuff that's going on now. And a lot of the stuff we hear from residents on where's the rail trail and South Liberty Creek and 505 are all projects in your department. Clearly, these are not easy projects to manage. I guess my question is, and the memo also references staff turnover, difficulty in keeping staff. So what's I understand using consultants short term to address some of these gaps, but what's the long-term plan for capacity in General Services to manage all these admittedly large number and sometimes complex projects? Because I imagine consultants per hour are more expensive than having staff. So what's the balance there?
I would say it can be tricky because in some years in the past, we've had more staff than we had projects for. So the ability to scale up and scale down with contract services is helpful. I mean, I think as we continue to trend and see what the average number of projects are that we have, what is in our capital fund, and we forecast that 10-year plan, we'll be able to then have a better understanding of how to resource our department.
Can I elaborate
please.
on that too? So in my 13 years with the city, had a close relationship with General Services for a long time. It was a direct report department, including Ms. Probst's predecessors. So I think I would say on behalf of all the departments who have professional services like these project managers, but also engineers and other departments, Street and Environmental Services has a number of project managers, Water Management has a number of project managers. This is a profession and a professional responsibility where we have seen a great deal of complexity in both the ability to attract and retain, and also huge impacts from the triangle market, the private sector and public sector, and the private market. So we have, I would say that the city has done a very good job of sort of tracking the various micro and macro factors that impact our ability to attract that type of talent and retain that type of talent, and then pivot as necessary when we either see, so there have been times when the construction market is super, super hot in the triangle, it is very difficult to attract those positions and keep those positions. Has very little to do with our culture, does have to do with our salary and benefits, which rarely can compete with the private sector, even if we were to do compensation studies every 12 months, just because the private sector will flex up in terms of what they pay to attract and retain in a way that is virtually impossible for governments to match. And so in those cases, and especially in hot markets, I have seen all of those departments take advantage of contract labor with some of those same firms to be able to keep our projects on track. I would say that a philosophy that I think represents all of those departments, and I'm certain General Services is, our primary goal and desire is to have a core of city staff who manage projects to provide that consistency, that knowledge of our business practices, knowledge of the local community, and to rely on that. And I think to Ms. Probst's comments, we feed a lot of data into the decision-making about how much to try and do that. And a lot of that does have to do with project load, and developing that 10-year plan that Ms. Probst identified will be another significant data point in that. But being able to flex up and down as necessary is an ability that the private sector does afford us. And so this agenda item represents, is not a drastic change to our strategy, but requires this change in contracting level, because we are taking dollars that we would normally put into salaries. They are those project dollars that were already forecast, but we have to address this contract. So this is not, because it's an agenda item today, it looks like a quick pivot. It's not a quick pivot. It is very consistent with the strategy that's been delivering projects long term. But to your key question, I would say our strategy is to try and find where is that steady line in the dips and valleys that is a reasonable permanent investment for the city, and then to augment that when necessary. And as I think the council discussion has accurately highlighted, trying to balance the expertise and stability we get from staff with the desire from our residents to deliver projects as quickly as possible. So, I just want to endorse this and do a little bit more to explain to the council that I think we understand the council's desire to handle our needs as best as possible with staff in-house, but that I think this is a reasonable and efficient business practice where necessary to scale up and be able to manage these projects.
So no, I appreciate that. So it sounds like we should then expect to see some of these in the future, more sort of these contracts for project management. So it's not like you have a plan for staffing up general services dramatically. This is your plan, right? To sort of use the staff roughly you have, or say more about that.
As the manager just said, I think that as we look at our 10-year plan and we see what the value is and the number of projects, it will help inform whether or not we should invest in more internal resources for that long period, or whether or not continuing to augment is the best practice.
So for instance, if we saw a fairly consistent project load over 10 years, that might lead to us staffing to a level that we know is going to have consistent load. However, as we delve into the CIP and we've had more complex conversations with the council about some years we'll have more debt capacity and have more new starts. If the pattern looks more like this, you might see occasional every 2 years us scaling up with these with this capacity and then scaling back down. So the more efficient thing to the city is to only invest those resources when we need them, rather than staffing to the highest peak and then having excess staff capacity when we don't need it. So yes, you may see this more in the future, but it really will depend on the projects you approve, the analysis that we do. Market factors can be a big factor as well. So I would like you to be open to seeing more of them without me necessarily predicting exactly how often you will see it. I definitely think it's and we'd be happy to bring more of a deep dive to council if you want to sort of look at how we make these decisions. And I know Director Flores in the room, we talk more in general to some of Councilmember Cook's earlier questions about how often do we go back out? What are the various ways we can procure services like this? Gina mentioned the a state contract. We can piggyback off other governments. There are times when we can create exceptions to our purchasing rules. I think we have very professional and appropriate methods for making all those decisions, but I realize those are things the council doesn't see very often. We'd be happy to share those with you.
Councilman Caballero? I'm sorry, were you done, Councilman Caballero?
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Manager Ferguson, in this discussion. It would be helpful because where we see it is just on budget asks. Yep. And so then we're being asked for money and we don't necessarily have all of the context. And so I think this goes back to around the budget conversation that we had a little towards the end of last fiscal year when we were about to adopt. It's hard to make a decision especially if it's like a tax increase, if we're not real clear on what's the impact actually going to be for residents. And if the impact is, we're going to get projects delivered a lot more quickly, then it's our job to tell that narrative and say, this is a decision your council made and this is why, and look, you're going to be able to get all these projects a lot quicker. So I definitely like that idea of a deeper dive ahead of January, February, when we're starting to already have to make decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cook. Baker, pardon.
So we've seen an influx of major infrastructure projects. So that's one reasoning behind this. We've seen one thing that's in the staff report is kind of is addressing turnover and talking about the turnover that's happened. And we've seen the labor market, after 2020 and the investment that the city made in workers. Have we seen stabilizing of turnover since we made that investment in city worker wages?
For the project management division here, I would say we do have, we've not had turnover in the staff that we have now. There was a time when someone would apply for a position with us, they would apply for a position DOT, then they would apply for a position in Raleigh. Whoever got to them first got them. And we had someone that worked for us for like 2 weeks and they went to work for DOT. So that type of churn has changed and is not currently what we're seeing in the General Services Department for project management.
Okay.
But there still is a lot of competition. and a lot of need for these types of resources in design and construction.
Yeah, and I appreciate this this conversation as well. And I know that consultant can sometimes be perceived as a four-letter word, and I say that as a consultant too, Carl. But I also I think that you mentioned the skill sets, and consultants can sometimes be these pollinators that are taking ideas from one place and bringing them to other places. At the same time, they might not have the institutional knowledge. They might come at a higher cost. So I do think philosophically, that balance is a healthy one. So appreciate that.
We've seen the pollinator effect.
One final thought to Councilmember Baker's comments, some that you raised. So a couple of other tools in our toolbox that we're using. DCM Wimbush, working with our HR department, we recently just approved a policy to allow some small, flexible sign-on bonuses for certain types of hard-to-recruit positions. I mean, these are all things that we're looking at all the time, is where do we particularly struggle with certain types of positions, and what are we doing to increase our ability to recruit and retain? That's a new enough effort that I think we can't predict results yet, but I'd like the council to know we're trying to be as flexible and responsive to these challenges as possible. And then the final thing that just the word consultant might trigger for council that I'd like to dissuade if I can is that these staff that are working under this contract are seamlessly integrated with the staff in general services. We at the senior level work with them like we work with our own project managers. So these are not distant folks sitting at a desk far away and not interacting with Durham. We deeply integrate them with Durham's values. These are incredibly important positions in terms of delivering projects that are of great value to Durham residents. And so, despite the fact that they have an employment agreement with someone else, they are full team members and meet every standard that you expect our staff to meet. And that's the standard that Ms. Probst holds them to and that her staff holds them to. So with any contractors, that's our goal. With these staff in particular, I'm particularly pleased with how General Services has made them fully beneficial to the residents of Durham.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Yeah, I want to make sure it's clear, like my comments had nothing to do with disparaging consultants. It's just the question of like, because we're right, a lot of us are consultants on the table. It's just a question of like costs and benefits, right? And what's the balance there, and how do we know we're getting the right outcomes? It's more of those questions. So thank you.
Thanks so much. DCM Pros, good to see you. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Good is a four-letter word as well. But I want to thank my colleagues. These are the type of questions that as fiduciaries of a city that you should be asking, and I appreciate it. But I do want to express my my confidence. I used to have angst over these same things, but I've watched the agility and how judicious our staff. There's a reason why we get consistently ranked as one of the best-run cities in the country, and I've watched how you've strategically and judiciously employed consultants when needed. I have a lawnmower, but I'm not buying an aerating machine. There are times when I bring folk in. There's stuff I keep, and times when I have to bring in folk, and I'm just not making that investment. And I think it's an imperfect analogy, but I've watched masterfully. Watch how you folk have masterfully done that. So I'm fully confident. I appreciate, Mr. Manager, also your primer as well. It would be just as inefficient to have a bunch of staff sitting around with no work to do. So I trust you're watching the clock and reading the green. One project that was mentioned, 505, that's not caught up in staff. That's because of us. 505 was on us. So the decision-making rests with us, or at least on that project. So I just want to make sure that's made clear. But thank you so much for the work, and colleagues, thank you for excellent questions on this item. The final item that was pulled was item number 20. I'll yield to Councilmember Cook.
I just had a few really not super important and specific turbidity questions. And oh yeah, he's here. I was like, okay, you're good.
Thank you, Water Management.
Sorry.
How's it going?
I was really excited about seeing Gina answer those questions, so
I know, I was like, oh no.
personally, I'm a little disappointed, but okay.
I am so proud of the turbidimeter. You got it right on, right? You know, when PFAS came up a few weeks ago, it was exciting to see that. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Dirk Carter. I'm acting assistant director with this Department of Water Management.
Thank you for being here. So I appreciated all of the like handwritten logs that we got as part of our agenda items, and I thought that was really cool. So it was fun to see for me like how y'all assessed these two and chose. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit to some of these regulations that we're trying to meet with the turbidity meters and what our progress is there.
Absolutely. For that, I'm going to turn to Mr. Thomas Lucas, our superintendent at Brown Water Treatment Plant.
Hello, I'm Tom Lucas. I'm the superintendent of the Brown Water Treatment Plant, like Dirk said. We're required to, so turbidity is a measure of how clear the water is. And so at the bottom of our filters, it has to be below a 0.3 NTU limit. And we have to record that. We have to measure it constantly. It has to be recorded every 15 minutes. And I cannot tell you off the top of my head what the actual rule that corresponds, that we have to obey, but that's the work we have to do for that.
It's measured every 15 minutes. And this is consistently, or are these regulations changing, I guess is my question. Have we
No,
seen any
this has
change
been
in
in,
these?
this particular one has been in place since, I want to say 2001, maybe 2002, something like that.
Okay, so when you were testing these, you had already had years of knowing kind of what the outputs were you were looking for and that sort of thing, and when.
Yes, ma'am. The ones we have now are old and they are past obsolescence, or they are obsolescence. They're past. The company is not supporting them anymore, so we have to choose a new type. So we trialed the two types and chose the Swan.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Colleagues, anyone else? All right, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I'll just settle the agenda, then hand the gavel back to you to adjourn us out, or any final comments? Nope.
All right. Gosh, I've worked really hard today. I am tired. I'm glad I had to get us through this agenda, but we are here. Mr. Manager, you can go ahead and settle us out.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I'm pleased to settle the agenda. What I have for that is on consent, items 1 through 21, and items 26 through 29, and on GBA public hearing, items 22 through 25.
Thank you. There's Yep, is there a motion to settle? All right, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Aye. Aye, thank you all so much. So is this how it's going to be every time you lead the meeting? An hour?
Let's see.
Okay.
Let's not find that.
Thank you all so much. We're adjourned at 2:02.
Folks, just send me feedback.